Hey everyone, so today I thought I would talk about how to care for a miniature horse. They do need very similar care to larger horses, but there are a few differences. So the first thing is make sure you do a daily groom, just check for any injuries or areas where they might be a bit sore. They're very prone to hurting themselves. And make sure you pick out their hooves as well.
Good.
Remember when you pick up their hooves that you don't need to lift them as high as you would a larger horse. And make sure you give them lots of rewards.
Good.
And as I said, make sure you give them a quick brush. Definitely work on their manes and tails as well. They tend to get very knotty, just as they would with a larger horse. And I personally don't trim manes or forelocks regularly. I believe that they're actually very important for natural fly deterrent, and they're also very important for making sure that your horse doesn't end up with any cold sort of spots and things. I believe it protects from really cold weather. I don't have this in New Zealand, but it's a problem in the northern hemisphere. And make sure you just keep their tail very clean and brushed. It's very similar to larger horses, but a lot of people get miniature horses and don't realize they need this extra care, so I just thought I'd go over everything. This is just a quick exercise you can do, which is releasing jaw tension. You hold the top jaw and you hold it for about 20 seconds, and then they'll sort of swing their bottom jaw side to side, and this allows them to release tension. You don't have to do this, but I like to do this with my horses, and it just keeps them in a better mood, I find. I've also added a section on elderly miniatures. So I have an elderly miniature called Butterball, and they do need slightly different care. So as you can see, I've just got a pumice sort of rock here, and I just use this instead of multiple grooming brushes because it strips the hair out, the loose hair. It makes them shiny, but it also doesn't take too much oil out because you're only using one brush, so I really like to use those. And it's incredibly important when you have an elderly miniature that you make sure not to lift their hooves too high. Especially Butterball has arthritis. You'll find a lot of older miniatures have arthritis because minis do tend to have some health problems. Or both of mine are rescue horses, so they do have sort of the more extreme cases, but they will generally have some sort of health issue at some point just because they are not designed to really be this small. That horses are not designed to be this small, so they do tend to have some issues. You also find there's a lot of inbreeding in the miniature horse community. And again, make sure you keep their tails in good health. It's especially important for the elderly horses because they do lose a lot of their hair and they do tend to start to not take care of it properly themselves. And so you just want to make sure that you keep it in really good order because that is their main defense against the elements. Next, it's really important, this is just a sort of random note, keep miniatures off grass as much as possible. So personally, I stable mine during the day. You want to keep them off the grass during the day because the sugar content is actually higher. I put mine back into the pasture at night and I keep them off most of the paddock. As you can see, Nala was not keen to get in her stall. So now onto their diet. So I personally feed Better Beet, which is a sugar-free beet by Dunstan, but you can feed any sort of low-sugar feed. You don't have to feed a hard feed either. And then supplement this with hay and a small amount of grass. I also like to supplement with salt and make sure that's non-iodized. Glucosamine with devil's claw in it. This ventilator powder for Butterball because he does have some breathing issues. And then just a quick note on sunscreen, which is not diet related. This is the sunscreen I use. If your horse has a pink nose, they will need a sunscreen. And there's some helpful extras to have on hand is Epsom salts, first aid kit, horse shampoo, baby oil, and a good quality hoof oil. Most of these, aside from the baby oil and the hoof oil, are just sort of emergency things to have on hand. I highly recommend having baby oil because that works for multiple different things. You can use it as a mane detangler, you can use it just to give their coat a quick shine, you can use it to clean things. It's just really helpful. And always have first aid kit around just in case something happens. They are prone to injuring themselves and they're very good at hiding their injuries. So I hope this video helped and you have a better idea of how to care for miniature horses. The main things are just to make sure that you keep their coats and their hooves in good order because they do, as I said, have multiple health conditions, and make sure that you don't feed them too much grass because this can cause them to get very overweight, but they also are prone to things like Cushing's and laminitis. So I hope you all enjoyed the video and found it helpful, and I will see you next time.